So can tinnitus go away on its own over time? It certainly can. Most of us who are here and who are, associated with our channel at Treble Health, that's not most of us. Most of us have had tinnitus for many months, but it's still there. After someone has had tinnitus for months or years, that the treatment can bring their tinnitus down to the level where it's hardly noticeable, and that would be a significant habituation effect. My name is Dr. Ben Thompson. I'm happy to be here with you. I see we have some folks here who are live on Instagram, live on YouTube, live on Facebook. I'm really glad to be here with you guys. So I'm going to start with this question next, which is about the difference between sound therapy and tinnitus retraining therapy. So guys, the difference between sound therapy and tinnitus retraining therapy is that sound therapy is one of the tools, all right? So right now I'm holding up on the screen here, all right? This sound machine can play different sounds, and that's a type of sound therapy approach where you can play sounds through a sound machine at a level that's lower than your tinnitus. Additionally, I have right here some sound therapy devices, okay? These are worn in the ears. These are often called tinnitus maskers or even hearing aids for tinnitus. And then additionally, we have this sleep headband. So this can be used, worn along the head with some thin wires some thin speakers alongside the head that can be used for when you're falling asleep. This question is, how long does it usually take to habituate to tinnitus? Okay, so habituation is the state when your perception of tinnitus is so low that it's less than 20% of waking hours. All right. So for most of us, if you've had tinnitus for at least 2 months and it's been really bothering you, most of us will take over 6 months to fully habituate to tinnitus. All right. However, it can happen for some people in just a matter of weeks, and significant improvements often happen within a few months. People can find relief within days or weeks. So hopefully that paints the picture here of the kind of range of improvement that can come. All right, let's answer Lindsay's question. Lindsay asks, what can be done for lingering somatic tinnitus jaws being treated? Lindsay, what I've seen as being successful for that is a combination of sound therapy treatment as well as CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy. All right. So the specific sound therapy I'd recommend in your case would be this kind of sound therapy with the devices in the ears, alongside one-on-one sessions with a CBT specialized audiologist or a therapist who understands some about tinnitus. Next question here we have, what causes tinnitus to spike suddenly and how can you calm it down? All right, so first thing to address is that spikes in tinnitus, which we sometimes refer to as fluctuations, those can be a result of stress, anxiety, environmental factors like sleep, managing stress, I would say, through relaxation techniques like sound therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. My top tips for how to reduce the spikes. There's two parts to this. There's how to stop the spikes from even happening. And on the other side, there is how to, once you have a spike, how to bring it back down to baseline or calm it down, settle it down a bit. All right. So first piece, having a life that is managed, having the life stress that you experience, trying to manage that. Try to focus on sleep, focus on healthy relationships with your friends and family, focus on good diet, walking around, getting exercise, moving your body, using sound enrichment throughout your day. All right. So consider this like your energy bank or your energy reserve, where when you're feeling healthy, when you're being proactive and doing things that are good for your mind, body, spirit, that is filling your energy bank. And if you have a bad day but your bank is full, then it probably won't result in a spike. But if you're staying food, not exercising, on social media a lot, pretty low, so that something can happen out of your control, and then your tinnitus can spike up. All right. Oftentimes we don't even know why the tinnitus doesn't really matter. What really matters is focusing on what we can control here. All right. So hopefully that helps. And again, spikes, just know that there are things that can be done. In some cases, tinnitus can subside on its own, especially when it's caused by temporary factors like earwax or ear infections. However, long-standing tinnitus typically requires like tinnitus retraining therapy, sound therapy, potentially working with a professional one-on-one. All right. So can tinnitus go away on its own over time? It certainly can. And we call that natural habituation. After a few weeks, their tinnitus just it kind of goes away. All right. Most of us who are here and who are, associated with our channel at Treble Health, that's not most of us. Most of us have had tinnitus for many months, and then it has gotten a little better, but it's still there. After someone has had tinnitus for months or years, that the treatment can bring their tinnitus down to the level where it's hardly noticeable, and that would be a significant habituation effect. So I do see that quite regularly with patients who work at Treble Health. It doesn't really go away for folks who've had that for a long time. Hopefully that makes sense and clears that up. I know that usually the goal, usually what people want, is to completely remove it or take it away. It doesn't need to happen because millions of people of tinnitus and are living full and productive lives, not bothered or affected by this. I'm one of them. So I hope that, you know, the resources you get through Treble Health, and whether that's free information or working with us one-on-one, I hope that this information can give you the tools you need to bring tinnitus down to that mild level where you can move on because it won't be affecting you as much. So that's a worthwhile goal. Oleg asks, how do I treat a Eustachian tube problem linked to tinnitus? Guys, and for this, I'm excited to bring in my special ear diagram. So right here, we can see that there's this tube, right? So this tube here is called the Eustachian tube, and it connects to this base right behind the eardrum. And this is the tube where if we blow air through our nose, then it can equalize the pressure. And what essentially happens here is that sometimes there can be pressure built up behind the eardrum, and then this tube can close in on itself, and we can't really equalize and clear, and we start to feel stuffy, or we have fullness in the ears, and that can really contract the eardrum in, and it can create tinnitus. It's one of the common causes of temporary tinnitus. So how to treat that kind of condition would be considering, how do I treat the eustachian tube problems, right? So for most people, that's going to be related to inflammation of that system. And sometimes you'll need to speak with an ear, nose, and throat doctor to get a medical treatment for that. There are times where you can treat this on your own and with some over-the-counter medication, staying very hydrated, getting back to good health. Often eustachian tube problems come when you're sick. So essentially, just treat your eustachian tube and your tinnitus should get better once your eustachian tube problems are better. Give it a few weeks after. It might not happen instantaneously. That'll be my recommendation. True Crime says, what brand is the best to use for an earpiece? If you're referring to this earpiece, I have full confidence to say that the Treble Health brand is the one that I would go with. We collaborate and work with the leading device manufacturer of these ear devices for tinnitus and hearing loss, and these are called Widex. So that's the manufacturer that specializes in tinnitus. And I would highly recommend working with us, and we're using those Widex devices. All right, next question here for you guys. Is tinnitus associated with hearing loss, and can hearing aids help? Really important point that not too many of us think about, which is, if hearing aids could help my tinnitus significantly, why am I not trying them? I hear it so often from people that they say things like, I've tried everything, and I empathize with them because they have tried things like herbal supplements. They've tried going to doctors. They've tried some simple YouTube sound therapies, and they think they've tried everything. But in reality, they haven't tried what I would say is the most likely to help them, which would be tinnitus retraining therapy. All right. So with these kinds of devices, they can be programmed just for tinnitus or for tinnitus and hearing loss. Tinnitus often coexists with hearing loss. Hearing aids can be programmed either just for tinnitus or for tinnitus and hearing loss together. And what we know is that simply by amplifying external sounds through the hearing aid function, those high-pitched sounds that your hearing loss shows, you can't hear those sounds so well. Those soft, high-pitched sounds, speech sounds like F for Frank, S for Sam, T for Tom. But it's no coincidence that your tinnitus is most likely a high-pitched sound that you hear in quiet environments, because the very high-pitched, soft sounds that you can't hear represents the cells in your hearing organ. Go back to my diagram. This part of the ear right here is called the cochlea. You can see there's a snail shaped organ in there. So the cells inside of the cochlea, this snail shaped organ, they have a hard time passing through the soft, high pitched sounds, the high pitched sounds. The hearing aids can very effectively manage tinnitus, because when you have a hearing aid in, just like these ones I have right here, when you have a hearing aid in, doing is it's putting the high pitch information back into the hearing system, and you're able to hear quite well. But we care more about tinnitus here, right? So it actually reduces the intensity of your tinnitus. For most people, when they have it in their ears, their tinnitus goes from, say, a 7 out of 10 down to a 4 out of 10 almost instantly. That's if they have a hearing loss. Simply the introduction of more sound in the region that they hear the tinnitus is very beneficial to take the edge off of it. So in that sense, it can pretty immediately improve tinnitus. But the real kicker here, the real treatment, which is what our team at Treble Health does every day with our patients, is to use those devices in the ears consistently over months and work one-on-one with an expert who can provide the therapy that creates this protocol called tinnitus retraining therapy. At the end of that treatment program, people's baseline level of tinnitus can be so reduced that they hardly hear it during the day. They hardly think about it. Even when they have their hearing aids off, it doesn't affect them nearly as much. Don't overlook hearing aids. If you haven't tried hearing aids yet, definitely consider them. Give them a trial. Often, for example, working with us, Treble Health, working with a good audiologist, we can fit hearing aids to your specific tinnitus, and you'll likely notice relief and benefit. In reality, there are different tools that can help people for tinnitus. Some are more effective than others. Some are more scientifically proven than others. There's also different root causes of tinnitus, different subtypes. So it's important to understand what's the actual cause of your tinnitus and which program or programs or tools can be used to help reduce tinnitus at the root cause level. So there's 3 main root causes, and I would say at this time there's about 3 main treatments. Okay. So certain treatments match different root causes better than others. If someone had a somatic or somatosensory tinnitus strictly related to their jaw, the first thing we would try is a treatment of the TMJ. Okay. If someone has tinnitus partially related to their hearing, then we definitely need to try hearing aids or sound therapy, because that's linked to the root cause. If someone has been going through a lot of stress in their life, if tinnitus has created a lot of anxiety and panic, then a therapy-based approach where there's CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, or mindfulness, or things like meditation, guided breathing, craniosacral therapy, relaxation, very well suited to help someone based on that cause of tinnitus. All right, next up, can physical exercises like neck stretches improve tinnitus? As I just spoke about, there is a root cause of tinnitus called somatosensory or somatic tinnitus. And for that type of tinnitus, physical exercises that target the neck can provide some relief. It really depends on whether the tinnitus is related to muscle tension at all. If you, for example, spontaneously got tinnitus only in one ear and it was very loud and screeching, almost high pitched, if you woke up with it in the middle of the night, or you woke up one morning and you had it just in one ear, and you had some history of tightness in your neck or your jaw, or potential posture concerns, perhaps a history of dental infection or dental surgery, these would be the kinds of pieces of your history that a doctor like me would listen to and think, This is something that would be suspicious of somatosensory tinnitus. Let's investigate that further. We would then send you to a dentist to do an evaluation where they would evaluate your jaw, your TMJ, or I would send you to a doctor of osteopathy, a DO, who's a medical doctor, but it's referred to as a doctor of osteopathy, to evaluate your cervical spine and your neck to see if there's any muscular abnormality, either with the joint in the jaw or the neck. That is the approach to try to treat it at the root cause level. And during that referral process, or even after a diagnosis, physical exercises, neck stretches, posture changes can relieve some of that neck and jaw tension. All right. It is right next to the ear. And yes, problems with your neck or jaw can cause a sound in your ear. It's not very intuitive or obvious exactly why that would happen for the average person, but hopefully explaining this process of the referral system and how it works can help you out. All right, let's look at some questions here in the chat. All right, this question here is from Vicky. Vicky asks, can certain medications cause tinnitus? Vicky, they certainly can. It can range from over-the-counter medication to all the way to chemotherapy drugs. There are lists of what are called ototoxic drugs. You can search them online and try to find them. My advice would be don't over analyze that. It turns out there's a lot of medications that have caused tinnitus for at least one person in a study, therefore the side effect was listed. But tinnitus is so common and there's been so many medication studies that I don't want you to get scared by seeing tinnitus as a potential side effect. But medications can be a cause of tinnitus, so work with your physician to consider if the timeline there lines up. And then if you can adjust the drug family with your physician's guidance, potentially we can see the tinnitus get better simply through that action. So that's something that I would recommend doing alongside a medical doctor or your physician, but you can also look at those resources online. All right, we have Ian from YouTube. Ian asks, how long is the average time for hyperacusis and tinnitus for in-ear sound generators? Let me show what Ian is talking about here. All right, so Ian is talking about these in-ear sound generators here. I'm showing the ones from Treble Health. Really, how this works is someone who has sound sensitivity, was called hyperacusis, and tinnitus. They would use these devices, and we would program them for your tinnitus and for your hyperacusis. You would use them over time and go through a treatment process. What that means is that in the first weeks, you would notice some relief for tinnitus. You wouldn't notice that much of a difference for hyperacusis. But between 3 and 6 months, I see most of my patients getting significantly better for their hyperacusis. And between 6 and 12 months, getting significantly better for their tinnitus. So that's the time frame that I would recommend you have. Along the same treatment program, we would also give you specific advice on how to use earplugs and when to use them and when not to use them. Hopefully that helps, Ian. Thanks for asking your great question. Let's go ahead and answer another question here. This next question is coming from YouTube. What sound therapy options are available that won't disturb my partner at night? If you have tinnitus, you probably have it in 2 ears, and maybe you've tried things, headphones. Maybe you've tried just putting headphones in your ears, and you realize, that doesn't really work. It hurts my ear. I wake up in the middle of the night. It's not in my ear. Maybe you have hearing aids, and maybe you have sound therapy devices with Treble Health like these. Maybe you're a patient at Treble Health, and you love how much these benefit you during the daytime hours, but then you realize I can't really wear them to sleep at night because I need to charge them during the night, and they might fall off of my ear during the night. But at the same time, you're sleeping next to your partner, and you might try a sound machine like this, and your partner may say things like, hey, I really am bothered by that cricket noise that you put on every night. I don't know how you can stand listening to those crickets, but I don't like them. Can you wear earplugs? And you think, no, I can't wear earplugs because that makes my tinnitus louder. So the sound machine might not work in that case if your partner doesn't tolerate those sounds. Now you might ask your partner to wear earplugs, but then we get into this, okay, who's going to be the bigger person here and try to figure out the problem. We don't give too much relationship advice here at Treble Health, but maybe there's an opportunity to compromise. Regardless, you probably should try this sleep headband because this is something that you can use on either left or right ears. You can see that there's actually a thin speaker right there. I'm kind of pressing it. There's a thin speaker there on each ear. So you would wear this while you sleep at night and you wouldn't disturb your partner or anyone sleeping in the same bed as you. Okay. How this one works is you would play this through Bluetooth, connect it to your phone, and then you'd have a comfortable headband to wear while you sleep at night. I would highly recommend checking these out. We have these on Amazon, actually. It's one of our most popular Amazon products. You can search Treble Health Tinnitus or Treble Health Tinnitus Sleep Headband in Amazon, and you can find that product and try it out. All right. Next question I'll answer is, can certain foods or supplements make tinnitus better or worse? So guys, there's no specific food or supplement proven to directly affect tinnitus. However, some people report that reducing salt, caffeine, and alcohol helps their tinnitus. Vitamins and supplements have limited research supporting their effectiveness towards treating tinnitus. You might hear that and think, how can that be? There's dozens of herbal supplements that advertise to me on Facebook and on Google, on the internet. What do you mean there's nothing there? Well, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, does not regulate for herbal supplements. So they say those companies can make some pretty steep claims, and oftentimes people are so desperate that they try them. Okay. They usually have no side effects, but just keep in mind they're not evidence-based. So I would recommend saving your money and starting with a high quality sound machine, starting with working one-on-one with a professional who can guide you through what exactly is going on with the ears. What is the root cause of your tinnitus? What can you do to treat it? That's where I would go instead of trying these Hail Mary $50 herbal supplements. All right, so Michael, you asked what sound machine was that? This is a Treble Health sound machine. I'll try to link this in the comments here, but essentially if you go to the Treble Health page and then you go to Tinnitus Solutions, then you'll be able to find that sound machine. You can purchase that one. This is our Treble Health Sound Oasis. All right, so Michael B asks, what therapy do you use that's the most likely to address the root cause of concussion? So Michael, I would falls into the central subtype of tinnitus. And the most likely treatment there would be a combination of the sound therapy treatment plus the one-on-one cognitive behavioral therapy. And that's in terms of what we do at Treble Health. We have a program for that called the Tinnitus 180 program. And that's our research-backed tinnitus treatment with an 85% success rate. You can book a free consultation if you're interested. We'll include the link here on the screen, treblehealth.com, and let my team know that you found us through this live video. Joe asks, does our sound machine have the Silk soundtrack found on our website? And Joe shared that Silk works best on days where I have tinnitus. We're working with some sound engineers to put that specific sound in the sound machine so that it will not rely on Bluetooth and you won't need to use all of your cell phone battery on YouTube, because that would be ideal, where we get these custom sounds that we've collaborated with the best sound engineers to create inside of this sound machine. You can put it by your bedside table. That's what we're going for. So give us a few months and I think we'll get there. And I'll certainly try to make an update on our email list and our YouTube channel once that comes. We have a question here. What causes pulsing tinnitus? What pulsing tinnitus can be caused by cardiovascular conditions. It can be caused by muscular conditions. It can be caused by cardiovascular conditions related to the arteries or the veins. So those are things to watch out for. I would recommend going to an ENT doctor who can evaluate for pulsing tinnitus. There are also specialty clinics, just to name a few, outside of New York City, San Francisco, Chicago, that are pulsatile tinnitus clinics. So if you have pulsing tinnitus, There are specific evaluation, and they often have telehealth visits. So it's something that I would look into. Just do a Google search of Pulsatile Tinnitus Clinic near me and see how far you can get. I've been making these YouTube videos for, geez, 4.5 years. But guys, we are a community, and what I've learned more than anything is that there's millions of people out there who need help with their hearing, with tinnitus, with their ears, and that when we can share the right information, when we can help you, you're feeling better, you're healthier, you tell other people what they can. We'll end up working with our team at Treble Health in our tinnitus treatment program, Tinnitus 180, and everyone is better. So I'm really happy to be here, and thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.